Once again, Eric with My Insurance Group, my partner in crime, friend, James Cardenas,
Nice to
fellow
meet
owner of My Insurance Group.
What's
trying
happening?
to take over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Denora, are you sure you don't want to get in on this? All right. So we're here this week with Ms. Ana Ramos. We were just talking about this. I don't even know how long we've known each other. It's got to be probably 5, 7, 8 years by now.
Around there, yeah.
You know, you've watched me grow as an individual. I was probably 8 years ago. I was probably some punk who thought I was taking over the world like every other 25, 27-year-old out there. And here we are now talking in front of hopefully thousands of people about, you know, life.
And how good you have done. I mean, I'm very proud of you.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yep.
Ana, you are a broker owner of the Lumen Group, the Lumen team.
Correct.
The Lumen team.
Yes,
I want to talk about more of your path to that in a little bit. Fun fact: you speak 5 languages.
Yes, I do.
Oh my goodness.
Which 5?
Spanish, Greek, French, English, and some Italian.
How did you accomplish that?
Well, I wish I would say it's
why,
my
actually?
Well, why exactly? I think it's easier. It's more. I mean, it's not on my credit really, but I was born in Venezuela, so Spanish you had to. But my family is Greek, so I'm Greek descendant. So at home, my grandma, although she would speak Spanish better than us, she would only allow me to speak Greek, and she would only talk to me in Greek.
Wow.
So there goes Greek, and of course that came with the endless Saturdays at Greek church at school. That well now.
And this is in Venezuela.
This is in Venezuela back then, yeah. So English in Venezuela, we teach English as a second language in school. Both my parents had the opportunities to live here on and off, so I came a lot here. And English in America, South and North and Central America, it's like, you know, Spanish and English are the languages you speak. Then since my family is European, then French becomes like the English in Europe. So at home, when my aunt who was from Italy would be there, we would speak French, so French was like the normal language. Then I studied French for a year in Switzerland when I graduated from high school. And Italian, I guess it just came with a pack because it's easy. It's very similar to Spanish. And I did take a couple years in college. But that's where I am.
Beautiful.
So not all my credit,
Right.
but
You're a very accomplished individual. You have done a lot of things. You know, I've over the years I've gotten to know your family. You know, Hector, your husband, super accomplished individual.
Yes. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's the area man? What's his title at BPG?
At this point is regional vice president for BPG inspections, but he handles, I think it's 10, 12 states in the United States, so all south of the United States is under his belt, but he's still an active inspector with doing, 400-600 inspections a year.
How many people are on this team?
Only in Texas it's about 40, 60 inspectors, and the rest of the U.S., I don't know, he should be somewhere around 100 or something.
I'm
Plus
trying
my
to manage
son.
my household of 4 people, man, and this guy's over here got hundreds of people under his belt.
And
I don't know how he does it.
haven't met anybody with a better time management skills than Hector. Honestly. I mean, it's just, the guy's awesome, really.
So you're super accomplished. You're from Venezuela.
Yes, I was born in Venezuela.
You went to college in Venezuela.
I did. I'm a journalist by trade.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yes.
That's awesome.
What led you to journalism?
I can't keep my mouth shut.
Right?
I'm
Good or
curious,
bad?
yeah.
Good or
Yes,
bad?
I mean, what you see, what you get, anyway.
Right.
So,
Like
but
trying
no,
to-
I think I'm very curious, and I am a devout fighter for ethics and justice. That is, to me, something really important. I think I would have been a good lawyer too, but there were too many lawyers in my family, so I said, nah, journalism is funnier than, I don't have to study that much as law.
More
but anyway.
fun.
Hector's super educated too.
Yeah, Hector is a civil engineer and specializing in transportation and roads and construction, so yeah.
how does journalism in Venezuela compare to the United States? This was just a one. I just thought about this.
Mm-hmm.
Very fun, I would say. I mean, very risky. I am so proud of the journalism and my colleagues and friends who are still in Venezuela fighting and trying to fight for freedom of speech and not even for speech, period. It is, you know, people say maybe not aware because we're not in a big war when lives are lost every day, like in Syria or Afghanistan. So we don't make it because of that to the news, but people are still disappearing. Things happen in Venezuela. We have a huge oppression from the government, which is a bunch of thugs running the country. So the journalism, it's, to me, are as brave as it could be in any war anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that. So tell me about Venezuela. What brought you to the United States?
Well, Venezuela has been, one of the first oil producers in the world, used to. Very wealthy, very educated. And after 40 years of really badly Latin way of doing democracy, we opened the door to a guy who tried a coup and won. Well, he didn't win, but he won the elections. He went to jail. He got he got free of jail, and I don't remember the word in English, by the president. So he became the president of of Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a different path.
Yeah.
To presidency, that's
well,
for dang sure.
that is very interesting.
I feel like I saw this on the news.
Yeah, Chavez was a guy who, he has his ideals, and he got to power just because everybody was unhappy with what was going on.
Exactly.
So, I always say that I will never ever support any speech that is based um, in separation. It has to be with integration, because I lived in Venezuela when Chavez started saying either you're with me or you're against me.
Hmm.
So I've seen what divide and conquer can accomplish. So that's what he started. And at the beginning, since there's so much money, a lot of people and investors and the huge capitals in Venezuela were with him just because they thought, another government, then we have to align ourselves, whatever.
To protect their money.
Yes. But this guy was very smart. So little by little, he took over every code of power, the judiciary, the executive, the legislators. So little by little, he took over. Then he made ties with Cuba. Mm-hmm. And Cuba has, with the Pact of Sao Paulo, which is a manifest somewhere around there that you can find everywhere now in Google,
mm-hmm.
you can see that they had a plan and they accomplished. So at one point now, that led when the guy died, and those who took over are 100% communism. But it's not only a political view, because I could understand if it was political or corruption or whatever, but these are thugs. These are drug dealers that are in charge of a country. So they could care less.
Right.
And they decided oil is not, anything that was illegal to get them money is good for them. So oil is not one of them because you track it. So now these guys are the major drug dealers in most, Latin America for sure. They have opened the doors to ISIS, to ETA, Taliban, you name it, there are in Venezuela. So it's like dealing with El Chapo. That's the president of Venezuela. Mm-hmm. All the military is there, so
under their control.
No, not under the control. They're the same team. Because there's so much money, billions and billions of dollars. If you read the news, you will see that very frequently they find people in the news that, the DA has got this guy and they have $2 billion in their accounts, whatever. That's nothing. That's peanuts of what they have. So that's how Venezuela ended when it is, So when Chavez took over in 98, we moved to the States in 2003. I used to be very active in my community, and I was working as a journalist, privately in the private sector, but I was doing some research, working and actively involved. And it got to the point where, one day we got home, they had came into our house, they knew exactly where weapons were, and they took my computer. They wrote notes in our cars. We know where their kids are, stuff. So, Hector had been telling me to move to the U.S. for a long time. After 9/11, I told Hector I was not going to the U.S. because I didn't want to be in a country that was at war, and I didn't know how that war was going to play. But he had an invitation for a joint venture for a long time in construction. So in 2003, we decided, well, let's give it a try. If we don't like it, we can always come back. And here we are.
Right.
It's almost 20 years later.
I went back in 2004, never went back again. I haven't been to Venezuela.
There you go. So you've
wow.
been right.
That is it's inspiring and wow. I got
scary,
some
but it has been a good journey.
Man, it's the reality, man. I mean, this is the world. This is the reality. Like some of us, wake up every morning, feed our kids, go to work, work all day, go back home, and we repeat every single day. You feel like what's going on on the other side of the world, but you really don't. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like that. You only see what they want you to see. We talked about how, you talked about how, the political system, and it's ran by people, or all affiliates of the political system all buy into this theory. It all simply because of, honestly, money.
Yeah.
It's about money.
Yeah, power and money.
Yeah.
That's why, when I'm telling you that how amazing this country is, trust me, I know what I'm saying. And it's a concern to me that I hope and trust that us as citizen, I'm a citizen of the U.S. now, which was a long journey, but finally.
We're glad to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. And I'm very happy, very happy. But now, as a citizen, I'm committed to make my values and my voice be heard. So I do make a phone call to my representatives, which were very helpful, by the way, through my immigration process because it was a mess. And a couple phone calls to them really helped out. So I witnessed that the system does work. It's just that we need to be part of the system. And a lot of times I see people here that complain and say, have you called? Have you done something? Have you used your resources? Well, if you don't use them, don't complain because somebody else is making decisions for you. So there's an election, you have to go and you have to vote. It doesn't matter what election is. Presidency, your representatives, whatever it is, your HOA, whatever it is. If you don't raise your voice, somebody else would do it for you. Because at the end, your vote is as important as the president's.
Yeah, I
so
think
make it count.
And journalism is now taking this. There's a new era of journalism where the distrust in the major media corporations. I was having this conversation last night. Is that there's no debate on the news stations anymore. There's no healthy debate because if you start a healthy debate, people go home and they continue to debate, and you might have a pocket of people or multiple pockets that may try to change the way that things are being done now, and that means that power has to be shifted, and people at the top don't want that. So what I'm noticing is that journalism's going a lot more micro now, which means that there's local journalists are the people who are making the biggest difference.
Yes, there's always been, there is a difference. Some people sometimes don't understand. With the technology we have now, with communications, with social media, everybody can grab a camera and say something and be heard. That doesn't make you a journalist. It can make you a reporter, maybe, but you're not a journalist. And there's always been, in any broadcast station, you can have a line, an editorial line. You can be more to the right, you can be more to the left, you can be central. That's okay, as long as you make clear to your audience that you are expressing an opinion. What is not right is using the power of communication, because as a journalist, one of the things that I think we have, the most important is the power we have to shift communications to shift mindsets and opinions of the people.
Mm.
So, as a journalist, I really think that you have to be very, very careful on what you say and how you say it. Because one thing is just reporting facts, and what's what it is, and that's okay. But if you want to put your opinion on it, you have to just be upfront. That's it.
Mm.
But you cannot manipulate because the power of communication is so huge that you have the power to influence an entire nation.
Absolutely.
An entire world.
Oh, we totally experienced this with all the elections and all this stuff over the last,
In the last
4 to 8 years. I mean,
I would
predominantly
say
last
longer.
4.
Since I came here in the U.S., I was here in 2003, so I've seen a few presidents come and go. And although I don't make political opinions because I don't think I'm educated enough to understand, I understand the basics.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's been, to me, it's a concern sometimes because I see the politics turning away a little bit from what their main purpose is. They are in office to serve us, to represent us as citizens. And I've seen throughout this 20 years that's politicians are getting a little bit farther and farther from that.
Yeah, how could we have a lot of the social issues that we have if the politicians were focused on the average person?
But what do we do to enforce that?
And that's the top of the mountain right there.
You can blame the politician, but if you have done your part, but if you don't get involved and you don't raise your voice and express your opinion, how do you expect them to do it? To do what you want or what you believe it's true? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, it's super complicated.
It is.
It doesn't mean it's not accomplishable, though.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes you have to learn the hard way. I mean, nobody, especially with the social media and Facebook now. I mean, now they're fact checking everything, whether it's right or wrong. When nobody even knows. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just, and then Trump goes on his banters, on Twitter and all that. And now he's banned from Twitter and everything else. Like, it's just funny. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's sad and it's funny. You know what I mean?
It is. It is complicated. I mean, it's just, but that's why the more I emphasize in us as citizens, we have to make sure our voices are heard through the channels that we can use to do that.
Exactly.
So you moved you moved to the United States in 2003 from Venezuela.
Yes.
Where'd you go first?
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
That's where Hector's project was.
Oh, gotcha.
So we spent 3 years freezing our butts in New Jersey.
You mean the climate's not the same in New Jersey as it is in Venezuela?
No, it's kind of a different thing,
Closer to the equator.
When you're used to 85 degrees year-round, you go to the beach, you're there in 20 minutes, and you come back home and stuff and everything. But anyway, so we were there for 3 years. He ended the project he was doing. At that point, we were like, well, what do we do? He had an uncle and some family in St. Louis. So I said, well, why not? So we moved to St. Louis.
What were some of the difficult things that you can remember about your transition here? Maybe it was getting off the ground with work or friends or learn.
Well, the culture is different. We used to live in a property that was about 5 acres. So Hector was mowing the grass, and he waved to the neighbor. The neighbor was very nice.
Yeah, that wasn't Texas. Texas, we wave to each other.
Yeah, exactly. So a week after, we get a letter from his attorney saying, you stepped about a feet in mowing our grass. Please don't trespass. And we were like, what? So Hector goes to the neighbor and says, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I mean, we're talking 5 acres. And the guy said, no, Hector, we're fine. But it's just that you need to be aware that you were trespassing into my lawn. I was like, so there's a cultural difference. Then I asked one of the ladies that I met, I said, hey, what potatoes can I use to do fried potatoes? I love French fries, so which ones do you use? Because you come here and it's like, 7 million shapes of potatoes. So she goes, oh, yeah, no, the best ones are the Ore-Ida.
The ones in the bag that are already cut.
And here I am like an idiot at the grocery store. I said, which one of these are the Ore-Ida? And
ma'am.
And the guy at the grocery store, he was looking at me like, what? And we lived in a little town that was like 15,000 people, the population.
Sure.
So at the grocery store, you would imagine the face of this lady. I was like, it's in the freezer area.
Yeah.
That is so
Where the
funny.
where the Heinz tomatoes at? Got it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Cute.
I think the culture. It's understanding and being embedded in the culture. You have to join, you have to embrace it, you have to learn it. There are some things about the culture I love, some others I don't. So, but I think that was probably my impact, and
Sure.
and that's kind of what led me to the brokerage, which we're going to talk later on. But
So
yeah, go ahead.
you're bringing. So you're how old are your kids?
Hector was 9 when I moved here. He's 28 now.
Okay.
And Andrea is 18. She was born here. I was pregnant with Andrea when I moved to the U.S.
Wow.
So for 2 years, I decided to stay at home, help them transition, my little one and the newborn. And
So from a 9-year-old's perspective, like, what is this journey? What was this journey like for him? Like, he's starting a new school. Did he know English? Like,
he didn't. We lived when we got here. We came a little bit ahead of time. Our plans was that I was going to come when Andrea was born, after Andrea was born, because I have all the family and friends in Venezuela to help me. Hector came first. But in Venezuela at the time, it started going rumors and a big trend of not letting the kids out of the country, that you had a special permission to take them out of the country. So I called Hector. I said, you know what? I'm leaving right now. I don't care. I'll leave this house half packed, figure it out. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Which is what I did.
Smart.
So I was about 5 months pregnant, and I was like, shit, I need to put something that, that will cover. And we came. It was never my intention that I was going to be born here, but, well, she was born here, so we moved. So when we came, Hector was 9, my little one, and he would run up the apartment. We came here President's Day, like right around President's Day. So heavy snow in New Jersey. He would go down to the apartment and play, and he would come up and say, Mom, how do I say I want to play? Okay, this is how you say it. He would go down. Okay, how do I say I play soccer? So that was his journey at the beginning. After 2 months, he was bilingual perfectly.
there you go.
And I asked him the other day, and he says, I know, Mom, I went through so many schools and stuff, so I'm fine. I just get used. I can adapt myself to anywhere
So
in any situation.
That's
you
a
definitely
great.
have to.
Yeah, and that's a great thing about moving around too.
Oh yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
Well, you go from Jersey to St. Louis, the Midwest. How was that transition?
St. Louis is a great city for families. I love it. People are very nice, very conservative. It was probably when we had 2-3 years in St. Louis that we met the Venezuelan community. When we moved, you would barely see a Venezuelan in the U.S. As years passed, you would start seeing more and more. The worse the situation in Venezuela, the more Venezuelans you would start seeing in the United States. So, we had other businesses. I had my real estate license, which was very funny how I got it. It was a business investment. Never believed I would be a realtor. To me, a realtor was a car sales guy with white shoes and pleated jacket.
Got it.
So
Okay.
I swear I would never ever be a realtor, and here I am. But anyways,
That's so funny.
But Missouri was, it was nice. It was beautiful. I really have amazing memories from St. Louis.
I've never been.
Oh, you have to be. The Arch is beautiful. I mean, the Cardinals. Anyway, so it's nice. Very beautiful city.
So when did you come to Texas?
I came to Texas.
What's that old saying? I'm not from here, but I got here as fast as I could.
That's exactly right.
And it would take a lot to get me out of San Antonio.
There you go.
At the time, I was when I was in St. Louis, I was doing real estate full time, and a friend of mine had asked me for my resume because she was starting to work with a headhunter and she needed to have a portfolio. So I gave her my resume, but I said, I'm not I'm not working in journalism. I did some consultancy and some stuff, but I haven't been doing it. No, it doesn't matter. I just need to have something in my portfolio. So one day she called me and said, hey, are you looking for a job? I said, no, I'm not. I'm doing real estate. I'm happy. I don't need any of this stuff. And she was like, no, but this is a very nice position. It's like, I said, well, you know what? Use my resume. I don't care. I'm not looking for a job, but that's okay. So she said, no, I already did, and there's a company that wants to talk to you. It's like, okay. I said, well, set up the interview. I have tomorrow, whatever, free. Says, well, but there's another thing. It's in San Antonio, Texas. I was like, what? I mean, I live in St. Louis. What do you mean San Antonio? At this point, Hector had started and have done a very good job with BPG. I already started with them. So I said, well, send them a resume or whatever. I said, I already did. They want to interview you. So I said, well, I'm not looking for a job. Let's see, at least to practice my interview skills and stuff. So we started talking. It was a very nice opportunity, but it wouldn't make sense for both of us. It was an amazing professional experience for me, but it wouldn't make sense. So when I was about to say no, thank you, it's not working, then Hector met with who was his boss at the time and said, you know what, you were mentioning that it would be nice if I would move to Houston. You almost made it because Ana got an offer in San Antonio. And he was like, do you trust me? I said, yeah, but okay, hold on. So he called HR. They sent a proposal to Hector on the spot. And Hector called me and said, did you say no already? I said, no, not yet. I'm going to send him. No, say yes. I said, come on, man, dude. You mean you told me everything? So that's how we ended up in San Antonio. I managed the global communications for oil and gas company.
Have you ever met Hector?
I have not, no.
Dude, I remember, so do you know Caroline Daly, right?
I do.
There's a time, I can't, it's all muddy to me now, but for the company Caroline worked for, like, somehow or another bought...
BPG Inspection was what company, and it was bought by Fidelity National.
Gotcha.
And that's when Caroline came in, because she came from the BPG group, but was bought out by Fidelity, so now Caroline became Fidelity, BPG, all the same people. That's how we met.
Love her, by the way. Caroline Daly. She's awesome.
She's awesome.
Yeah. I remember when Caroline, we used to do that spot on your listing event, and we still are trying to, if there was ever any listings that were available. But I remember when Caroline brought in Hector and introduced him to our team. And you can tell right away this guy's going to take over. I mean, like, you can tell when people have it. The guy has it. I mean, Hector has it.
Sure.
I mean, you don't have to see his resume. You just got to talk to him for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And, that's a whole nother story.
Live with him.
Yeah.
No, he's a cool guy.
Yeah. Calm down.
And Fidelity has a lot. There's like BPG. There's a title company.
It's huge.
There's a home warranty company.
That's huge. I mean, Chicago Title, Alamo Title, they're all part of BPG, of Fidelity.
Wow.
So it's a huge company.
I had no idea.
So when I got here, I started working, got my license. I said, at least to get my commission when I buy my house. And one thing led to the other. Hector started telling me, Ana, you have no idea what this market is. You have to get to back, 100% into real estate. And after 3 years, I sat down with my boss and I told, you know what? And he was a good friend of mine too. And I said, you know what? Thank you, but I'm leaving.
So that was your path. So you got your license. This is your path to real estate now. Where did you go first? Where'd you hang your license first?
The first time it was with Reagan Rear and Erin Sestero with J.B. Goodwin, people and Alberto Hernandez, people who I respect and care a lot. After that, I went to Century 21 with Bob Mueller, who to this day is probably the broker that the most respect I have for, a good friend and somebody that I trust. From there, I went to JP and Associate Realtors, and starting this year, I decided to open my own brokerage, so I'm an independent broker.
So tell me about this path to you becoming your own brokerage.
Well, it has been rewarding. It was awesome. When I was in New Jersey, that's to understand why I got my license. I was in New Jersey, and I just had my baby, So for 2 years, I was at home with her and with my son. We're, getting used to everything and to the culture and everything. We lived in a little town called Phillipsburg. That's an hour from Manhattan, an hour from Philly. So there was no way I could find a job in my area with my resume other than in a big city. Mm-hmm. But after 2 years, I was climbing the wall. I was about to donate my kids. I love them to death. But I was like, I need to do something. So a friend of mine who was a realtor told me, hey, the brokerage he was at, the broker he was growing, but he didn't have maybe the structure business-wise.
Right.
And Hector and I have always owned businesses and been our own bosses.
So you're the structure people.
We are. Well, we try.
Right.
So.
Well, he is an engineer.
That too.
Yeah. So I started working with this guy just to help him build his business. Anywhere from how to file something in a cabinet to how to do a business plan and put your goals and business plans for 5 years on a company or where you want to grow and everything. Mm-hmm. So when we decided to move to St. Louis, I said, well, I was with Prudential then. Mm-hmm. So I said, you know what? This is easy. I mean, and these realtors, they don't have marketing experience. They're good salespeople, but they don't have structured marketing and communication stuff. So when I moved to St. Louis, I had the opportunity, because of luck, I sent my resume everywhere. Mm-hmm. And landed with a very, very successful agent in St. Louis. With her, I learned the good, the bad, and the ugly. Mm-hmm. In 2 years, I learned with her as a listing manager and marketing manager and everything. Everything you could learn in 10 years. When I got hired, she initially was something that, she was going to pay me hourly. When I saw her production, I said, well, what about you pay me? I don't care if it's minimum wage, but I'll get a percentage of your commission. In order to do that, I had to get the license. So that's how I got the license. It was never because I was found true to my heart that I wanted to be a realtor. No.
Got it.
So that's how I got the license. After 2 years, things didn't work. I decided to go on my own. Started doing real estate. We had other businesses, but, started there. And when I moved from St. Louis to here, I was doing full-time there. Then we moved here, got this job, started doing real estate part-time. Very quick, I realized that it wasn't something that you would do part-time. If you really want to be successful, you can start part-time, but at some point you have to shift. If that's going to be your main source of income, mm-hmm. you have to go full-time and put it all in. And from there, I got my broker's license. And the reason why, the motivation to get my brokers and my brokerage is because my contribution is I've seen so many people, immigrants, come into this country, no matter where you're coming from Europe, from Africa, from South America, from Canada, from whatever, you name it. And there's so many things, the vast of this country and so many things that we don't understand, that I want to make sure that all those people that are coming from other countries and other nationalities, help them their path to be successful and to be really enjoy the American dream, which is based on real estate. Mm-hmm. You build wealth based on real estate.
And so many times you see people, maybe they come from a different place and they look different, or they have an accent, and they have a harder time getting off the ground, maybe yes. with their brokerage or with their customer support team. Yes. I've experienced that I don't have an accent, but one of the agents that we had, I noticed that she wouldn't get the same treatment when she would call in to the larger support team, just because of the language barrier, and they're just like, they kind of write her off, and so you can get taken advantage of, or you can lose a lot of energy trying, to talk to somebody who just really maybe doesn't want to participate with you.
Yeah, and sometimes, I always ask, when some people give me hard time or tell me something about my accident, I always turn around and say, I'm so sorry. You know, the thing is that when you speak more than one language, we have these things. How many do you speak? I didn't realize because
right.
I didn't catch your answer. You know, so somebody's going to be an idiot. Then you have to be a bigger idiot and set the example.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
So
A professional idiot.
yeah,
yeah, I get
so
it.
anyways, and the other reason why I decided to open my brokerage is because I've seen there are very good professionals in this industry, but I've seen awful things as well. So I am committed to build a team of people who are professionals that can bring the real estate industry to the standards where it should be and do things right
Yeah.
and help
Standard.
people.
We love that word.
And my slogan, my company is just do good, it's free. And I am 100% believer in that. I'm an example of that. If you do things right and you do good to people, money will follow and things will follow. You don't need to worry about the money if you do things right.
Well, and you bring up a good point. We kind of talk about within our, office, we got 16, people here. You got to get a team of 16 people all pulling in the right direction. And, we're hands-on owners.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yes, I do.
We're hands-on owners. Sometimes you get into a bigger brokerage that, people want to join. It may be because of the name. It may be because of the education. It may be because their friend, works there. For whatever reason you want to do. You get bigger brokerages, you kind of get, not that the agents are bad, but there's not a lot of hands-on. The training may be great, but you do get some bad apples.
And I think there's room for everybody.
Right.
I think there's a space for everybody. There's benefits on a big brokerage. There's benefits in a boutique brokerage. It's everything. It's about your goals and what you want to do. It has to be scalable for sure.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Missouri, I was with Keller Williams for years, so I completely understand, what a big brokerage is. I think it might fit somebody's needs. It's the same thing as EXP or Real or City. There are very good options out there. It depends what you're looking for. I haven't started recruiting yet because I wanted to make sure if I am committed to help and bring value to my clients, then I have to do the same for my agents.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to bring is that, so how do I structure this? Because I am not going to be the brokerage. Unfortunately, I can't because my concept is different. That is going to tell you just have to pay a flat fee because I'm not interested in volume.
Right.
I'm interested in value.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever comes and joins this crazy idea I have has to be somebody that is really willing and interested in helping others and doing things right.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we make a difference? Hector sometimes says, "Hey, you do remember that we still have to make money for retirement."
Right.
Anyways, but I trust that it can be accomplished.
It's hard to go into things initially with that mindset too when you're just kind of scratching and clawing and wanting to make money. You might cut some corners, and those corners that you cut will take 10 times longer to fix than if you'd have done it right the first time. So that's why finding people who understand doing it right, the first time, and understanding that value that you're proposing is much more efficient in the long run than just looking for somebody who just wants to sell, put some money in my pocket, but maybe not do the whole process right.
Yeah, and you can be a transactional agent, which is transaction, or you can be a referral agent.
Mm-hmm.
Both models work well. It all depends on who you are and what you like. I mean, I personally like more the referral one. I mentored many agents in my career, and I've seen a lot of agents who come into the business and they make huge amounts of money.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them keep it and they're wealthy. Some others, you see them, they go down as fast as they went up.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And at the end as well is, to me, more important is the reputation that you get.
So I'm going to stop you right there. I told you about a lady that told me that don't care if it's a $60,000 property
Mm-hmm.
or a $6 million property. My photos will always be professional because it's my brand.
Mm-hmm.
It
Is
was
this
that
you?
lady right there.
Okay, got it.
This has my name
Yeah,
on
we
it.
were talking about you last week at the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
Because this is my brand.
Mhm.
This is me.
What exactly.
Yeah.
When people are going through the MLS, when people are zooming through photos on the internet, the photos change as you slide through them.
Mhm.
However, Ana Ramos, the Lumen team, stays the same.
Mm-hmm.
That name does not change as you go through all these photos and all these
Mhm.
listings. And just because the house is $60,000 or whatever it may be,
Or a
doesn't
rental. I
matter.
just put a rental on the market. I don't
Right.
care if it's a rental or what it is. It's my brand. It's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the perception that the public is going to get from you. So you have to be very aware and very intentional of who you are and the message that you send and you transmit over.
Right.
The message you
Absolutely.
think you're not sending is still a message.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Oh, who cares, man? It's just a couple iPhone photos. No big deal. It's going to sell real fast.
Right. The
But
market's hot.
Yeah, the market's
Even
hot.
with this market, yes.
Yeah.
But no.
But it doesn't really. It doesn't matter. And in the grand scheme of things, the photos matter, but it doesn't
Mhm.
matter. What matters is these are still my clients.
Mm-hmm.
This is the $60,000 may turn into a
Yeah.
$200,000 may turn into a $500,000 buyer.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the experience that this person was, received,
Mhm.
the guidance, everything.
Mhm.
Well, I can't use her, man. She only takes iPhone photos of houses, and then, we all know there's 1,000 realtors in the zip code of 78258.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody knows that. I mean, we all know another realtor too.
Yeah.
It's like, well, all that person or that buyer, that seller has to do is just talk to another person. Be, oh no, we're going to take professional photos. Well, Ana only took photos with her iPhone. Well, now this person's better. Well, hold on now.
Yeah, and it's about my area is branding and marketing and branding. That's and corporate branding. That's what I specialized back in my journalist days. So I understand completely what branding is everything. Is how you walk, is how you speak, is how you dress, it's everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that you have to be like all high heels kind of thing, makeup. No.
Mhm.
It has nothing to do with that. It's
Mhm.
what you are, and it's treating everybody the same way. Of course, that's a granted,
Mm-hmm.
but it's your image. As Eric is saying, if you see the pictures of any rentals, any listings that go on the market, it has to be not only treated to the same respect because of your client, which deserves the same thing. If you decided to engage in business with one person and you sign an agreement, your fiduciary duties are there no matter what the value of that property is. It's
Mhm.
what you are as a person. So when it comes to your branding, even if you don't have a logo and you haven't invested in money, it doesn't matter. It's who you are, what you sell, and what people are going to recognize you and link you to.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go, I think it's disrespectful to go with an iPhone. And I see tons of houses every day on the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen $1 million houses with iPhone pictures. And I don't understand why the seller accepted that.
Right.
That is not right,
Mm-hmm.
But as a professional, even telling you, my gosh, in this market, everybody's going to go with this house is going to go in 24 hours, it doesn't matter. Still, you have a responsibility to yourself as a professional and in the branding sector for sure.
Oh,
Well
without
said.
a doubt, man.
Well said.
So you opened up your own brokerage last year. How hard was that? What were your hurdles? I know you got a dose of education on insurance.
Yes. Well, insurance one part. I mean, it's the technical parts. It's the things. And again, I've been here 20 years, but still, there are a lot of things that I don't know.
Mm.
So even to me, it's a learning curve because I don't know the system. So putting together what I needed, calling Trek, calling here, calling the insurance, bugging him,
Mm-hmm.
what do I do? What insurance do I get? Where do we go?
Right.
How do I put this together? Okay, I need a website, so how do I handle the website? Every single aspect of putting it together, it was awesome, but it was
Right.
very challenging.
Looking back is awesome. During it is challenging.
Yes,
Right? Yeah.
and the other thing is that, of course, you want to do it yourself. You want to save as much money as you can. It's easy if you hire somebody and say, hey,
Right.
do this for me and pay thousands of dollars that we were talking before. You know, you pick your battles. Yes, true.
Right.
And but it's the challenge of bringing it to reality, legally and technically. I think that was the biggest challenge.
It is, man. You got business entities, something, and all the way down to what is my logo going to look like? I told James the other day, it's like, hey, whenever we were rebranding, it's like, yeah, this is a cool logo, but what's it look like on a hat? What's it look like on a shirt? How's it going to embroider? Do we have too many colors? Can you even read it?
Yeah.
There's just so many things to think about whenever you're launching a business and a brand. That I'm going to open up my own business. It sounds great. Everybody should do it. But I heard this quote a long time ago. Owning a business is like going to church. A lot of people show up, but not a lot of people understand. And, I will never tell anybody don't try to go own your own business if that's your dreams. But, man, it is a lot of work. And getting there is, a lot is a battle. And maintaining it is actually the biggest battle.
Oh, absolutely.
What is we talked about, what is your brand? What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? All that stuff like that.
And a little pro tip, even if you hire somebody to do a job that you need them to do, you still have to outline exactly what you expect them to do.
Because nobody will understand your perspective. Is if you hire an attorney, it's your responsibility to be on top of that file and make sure it's filled correctly. If you go to the doctor, it's your responsibility to make sure that the nurse or whoever is typing your stuff down in that report and whatever in your file, they do it right. Nobody's going to take care of your stuff better than you do.
Yep.
So, I mean, to me, like everything, maybe because my strength is marketing and branding, I understood that part correctly, so I had it. So I did hire a very good friend of mine and trying to help. I wanted to use the opportunity to help people that I know in Venezuela that are struggling, that don't even have money to buy medicine or to find food or stuff. So I've been trying to outsource a little bit to those who are in need.
That's pretty cool.
So I have a very good friend of mine who's a designer in Venezuela, so she did my logo. I'm trying to hire an assistant. I spoke first with people that I know that are struggling and maybe give them some work. Of course, you have to have the balance because you can help people, but you have costs associated to that you need to look into and stuff. But one of the things that I decided to do was hire a coach as well. Because although I know how to do a lot of things, but having somebody else's perspective helps you focus and redefine again what's important. Because you can be all over the place, because I'm still a producing agent. I mean, I've been having a hell of a year this year. Last year, COVID has been awesome. You always have to find the positive. And I think I'm a firm believer that no matter how ugly something looks, you will always be able to get something positive out of it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So
Chaos.
COVID at the beginning to me was, for everybody, was challenging. We were both concerned, Hector and I, because of our industries. But we both have been very blessed, very busy, very good. So, but being productive, producing stuff, and then still taking care of clients, register in a company, find an office space, get somebody, work on commission splits. What are you going to offer? Hire the assistant, respond to the email. I mean, it's just like, okay, so it's 11 in the evening. I have to go to bed.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And you get that feeling as a business owner that you can literally work all day, 24/7, and you'll always find something to work on.
Of course.
And just one other thing. I think that it's very interesting how it seems like business owners or a certain type of people can tap into a resource and almost find like an unlimited amount of energy. And, maybe at night we go home and we're just exhausted dragging home, but we were able to tap in to something that brings us an unlimited amount of energy. And I've been trying to figure out what is that feeling, what is that? And I think when you dedicate yourself to an ideal versus a material thing, then you can go longer and you can go further, because I'm doing it for the team. I'm doing it for, something that's bigger than me.
Yeah.
And once you are able to tap into that, you can have unlimited amounts of energy. And I just, I've just now recently started to kind of try to understand that.
That's very important. Yes, absolutely. And you still have to find time for your family. Hector and I love traveling, you know. We camp, we travel. I mean, that's like number one thing. So you could literally see me in Montana finding signal because I needed to finally to communicate with my transaction manager to send a copy of a contract because we were negotiating stuff in the middle of my trip. Yes, I mean, I said, you know what, guys, we need to find a spot here.
What mountain has good signal?
Signal mountain.
Kind of, you know. So I said, like 5 minutes, you know. So,
sure.
But
you're finding a way to get it done, no matter where you are. And that's the beautiful part about that type of personality, that type of person who's willing to live the life they want to live and also find a way to get it done no matter what. No excuses, no nothing. And when you can do that, you're on the right path.
Well, you know, I mean, in your 20s, your goal is to make money. And then you have kids. And then it's like, well, okay, my goal now is to share my time with my business and my family. Because if you don't, you're going to have one pissed off wife.
Oh, yeah. And pissed off daughters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Abby's amazing, so shush.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, but, you know, dude, if it wasn't for my wife, man, I'd probably work 24 hours a day. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then my girls are getting older. I got a 4-year-old and 2-year-old, right? And, you know, it's important. You find out your priorities change. And we've talked about this in the past. When you tell somebody yes, you're telling somebody else no. And, you know, and then so, you know, in your 30s and 40s, you're hoping to find balance and, you know, you have a successful career, you know, trying to find your footprint in this crazy world and whatnot. And hopefully you're still making money, but you're not chasing it. Like that's not your end goal. You're making impacts differently, whether it's employees or your friend, you know, you're doing things differently. So, you know, you're huge. Your path has now taken you to I read you're a traveling guru. You love the camp, and then also I saw you love to cook.
Well, I knew this was coming. I don't know why I figured this was happening.
I do.
If there's any opportunity to talk about food, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So where's your favorite place you traveled so far?
Iceland.
Wow.
Which is very green from I guess
beautiful.
what I learned.
It's amazing. I mean, the outdoors, the scenery, it's just amazing. Iceland, I would say, would be like a long destination, you know, that I would be. Here in the U.S., we love the Montana. Colorado, Montana, Wyoming was beautiful, beautiful. But Iceland, I think has been one of my favorite places.
I want to go to Montana. I used to live in Colorado, but I was 19. I was too stupid to really appreciate it. I lived in Boulder, and that's a whole nother ball game in there. Man, the lakes, the trees, the mountains. Yeah. Oh my gosh, man. It is so nice. I actually told my wife a couple months ago I wanted to go to Montana.
It is a nice trip. It takes you 2.5 days to drive over there. So this was
our camping though won't be your style of camping. Your style of camping, just so everybody knows, your style of camping is literally sleeping in the back of a truck. You know?
No, on top because I have a rooftop. No, and you know we've been camping so long, but we have invested a lot in equipment and stuff. So you go camping with us. It's not like your ham is going to be swimming in the styrofoam cooler and you know where your tomato sauce is all over the place. No, you don't do that. I mean, I wouldn't camp like that.
Sure.
You know, but after many years and taking it into a lifestyle, I mean, we have chicken stroganoff and roast beef and stuff and good food or risotto. You know, when we camp and we eat because we are prepared for that.
Right,
so
exactly.
It is, but it's primitive camping, yes, definitely yes. Oh yeah,
That's so
the less
funny.
people, the better.
I agree with that.
Camping at my house requires a Hilton or a Marriott.
Yeah. And I'm sure, and just a little off subject, but sometimes you get so far out that when you look at the stars, there's more stars in the sky than there is night sky. And you're just like, oh, wow, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm starting to understand some things that I didn't understand before.
That's where that addiction comes in.
Oh,
The
yeah.
addiction to camping.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is an addiction,
Yeah.
definitely.
Where else have you been?
Ooh, okay. So I would say my next favorite place along there with Iceland would be in Venezuela. We have the oldest uh, mountain formations of the world. The first mountains that emerged from the waters. So
Wow.
that is the Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So we have been there, and it's a beautiful place. That would be my second one. My another amazing trip. We drove all South America, 60 days, 45 people driving with families. We drove all over South America from Venezuela to Ushuaia, which is the farthest place in the world to the south.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So
That's
Rio, Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires, we went
Right.
to Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Peru, Bolivia, which is amazing. Bolivia is beautiful.
Mm.
Through the jungle, through the Amazon. So
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to get a globe next time you come in here.
Yeah.
We're gonna start painting. Where's Ana? We're gonna start painting it.
Right.
And then, well, Italy is awesome. The Italians are great.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Europe is nice. It's a different experience, but it's nice. My next adventure, I hope and trust, it's going to be, I want to go to Egypt and Jordan. I want to go Petra. Probably the
yeah.
Turkish, visit them a little bit. So
I'm not an expert, but I don't think you can drive there.
we will, well, I wish.
Camelback,
Gosh.
Eric. Camelback.
Well, but you know, there is one of the other things that we have in mind. We just learned that there is a ferry boat that you take in Seattle to Alaska, and you take the car to Alaska. So that's
How cool.
on our list now.
I've never heard of that.
Long
Going
fix-
to Alaska on my own car? Oh my gosh, that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, 4-wheel drive. Bring
Yep.
the 4Runner. Sounds good.
Yes.
Man, that would be fun. The worst part of that trip would be driving to Seattle.
That's okay.
Texas.
That's not, you know.
Right.
Well, only getting out of Texas is like 10 hours no matter
Right.
where you go. So,
Yeah,
you know what I
that's
mean?
true.
And
Yeah.
even, you know, if you go to Louisiana, you say finally, you know, welcome to Louisiana. It's like, yeah, we left Texas. And then like 5 minutes later, welcome to Texas again. It's like, really, dude? I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely. That is pretty funny. I had a buddy of mine that moved to San Antonio from Ohio,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Man, I felt like I was making great time. I got to Texas pretty fast, and then I got to
And then-
Texas,
and then
and
you
then
got
it
to
was still Texas, and then it was still Texas." I
Sorry,
did
buddy.
know a fun fact that El Paso is closer to San Diego than it is Houston or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, Paso's about 8 hours from here.
Yeah.
8-9 hours
I
from
thought
here.
it was pretty funny.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
What do you like to cook? If I'm coming over tonight, what are you cooking?
What do you like?
Whatever your best dish.
Mm.
It's all whatever you want to do. We can do sushi. We can do paella.
That's one.
That's the one.
That's
A black rice. A paella, yeah, I
Yeah.
can make a paella, yes.
Very nice.
I enjoy cooking. That's my relaxing thing.
Yeah.
And Hector is a good cook, but outside.
Grilling or
Oh, the
well,
grilling, yes.
Yeah.
Hector had two partners from Argentina, from Uruguay. So he learned